Hello everyone, welcome back to Atreyu Crochet. So in today's video I'm going to be showing you how to make this Puff Stitch Hexagon. Let's get to it. Things you will need include a pair of scissors, a darning weaving tapestry needle, some medium 4 yarn, and a crochet hook that is between US 5 to 6 millimeter. Okay, this is a J6 for me. We're going to be starting out with the sometimes dreaded magic circle, at least amongst beginners. I have a video if you need more instruction. Check it out if you need help. But you're going to take your yarn, wrap it around your 2 fingers, and create an X like that. Okay, now we're going to go under the first one and over the second one, hooking it on and pulling it through to the front like that. Take your thumb, put it there, and then just gently slide those 2 fingers out of the loop. Alright, now grab the working yarn and chain. 1, okay, 2, and 3. We're going to pull on this tail now, and this is going to close up the loop just a little bit for now. And now in this loop, in this ring, in this circle, we're going to put 11 double crochets. Yarn over, enter the loop, ring, circle, yarn over, pull through to the front for 3 loops on your crochet hook. 1, 2, 3. We're going to yarn over, go through 2, 1, 2, yarn over, go through 2, 1, 2, yarn over, enter the loop, ring, circle again, yarn over, pull through to the front for 3 loops, yarn over, go through 2, 1, 2, yarn over, go through 2, 1, 2. We've just made 2 double crochet. You're going to make 9 more for a total of 11 double crochet. And as you're making these, you can start to pull on that, closing the loop gradually. I'll see you after I've completed mine. Now that I have my 11 double crochet made, I'm going to pull on this to close the loop. And that's also going to help me bring it to a circle. Now here you're going to see those initial 3 chains that you made, 1, 2, 3. We're going to slip stitch into that top chain, the 3rd chain up. So 1, 2, 3, enter, and yarn over, and then pull all the way through. Now we're going to chain 2, 1, 2. And back in that same place where we slip stitched in that 3rd chain up, that's where we're going to put our first puff stitch. The way you make a puff stitch is you yarn over, enter, yarn over, pull through to the front for 1. Now you have 3 loops, 1, 2, 3. Or yarn over, now you have 4 loops, 1, 2, 3, 4. Enter again, yarn over, pull through to the front. Now you have 5 loops, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yarn over, now you have 6 loops on your crochet hook, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Enter one more time, yarn over, pull through to the front, and now we have 7 loops, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We're going to yarn over, and we're going to go through all but 1 loop. So we're going to go through the first 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 6. And now we're going to yarn over and go through the remaining 2. 1, 2. And that's your puff stitch. We're going to chain 1. And now we're going to go into the first actual double crochet, slicing the icing off of the top of the cake, that stitch. And we're going to put 1 puff stitch in each double crochet around, chaining 1 in between. So what that looks like is this. I've already chained the 1, so I'm going to yarn over, slice the icing off the top of the cake, yarn over, pull through to the front, so that's 3 loops, yarn over, that's 4 loops on my crochet hook, enter, yarn over, that's 5 loops on my crochet hook, yarn over, that's 6 loops on my crochet hook, enter again, yarn over and pull through to the front, and now that's 7 loops on my crochet hook. And now I'm going to yarn over, and I'm going to go through the first 6 like that, and then I'm going to yarn over and go through the remaining 2. 1, 2, and then chain 1. Show you one more time, a little bit faster. Yarn over, slice the icing off top of the next stitch. So 1, 2, 3. And we'll go through all but one of the loops and make sure your crochet hook is angled correctly so that you get through them all. And then yarn over, go through 2, chain 1. So we're going to put 1 puff stitch in every double crochet around, and I'll meet you there. So you're going to notice it's going to start to curl up. It's because this is a non-increase row. We're just putting 1 stitch in every stitch below, so it's supposed to curl, but don't worry, we will correct it in the next round, round 3. So I need to chain 1 and then make this final puff stitch in the final stitch. 1, 2, 3. Keep your yarn overs loose and that will help you. Okay, and then don't forget to chain 1. So now we're going to bypass that chain 2 and we're going to slice the icing off the top of the cake, off the top of that puff stitch. That's the top of the puff stitch. So go in there and slip stitch. And then we're going to go just on the other side of that puff stitch. So in that chain 1 space in between these 2 puff stitches there. And we're going to slip stitch again. And now we're going to chain 2. 1, 2. And this is an increase round. We're going to put 2 puff stitches in every chain 1 space. Okay? So I just chained 2. Now I'm about to start my puff stitches. Keep your yarn overs loose. 1, 2, 3. Okay, and then chain 1 and go back in there again to increase. 1, 2, 3. Okay, and we've just increased because we put 2 puff stitches in that one. Chain 1. So you always chain 1 in between the puff stitches. Here's the next chain 1 space in between these 2 puff stitches. So just make your puff stitch 2, 3, chain 1, go back in there and make a second puff stitch. 1, 2, 3, and see how my loops are nice and loose but still neat. Chain 1. This puff stitch has 2, this puff stitch has 2. Now we're going to go to this one. Put 2 puff stitches in there. 1, 2, 3, yarn over, go through, yarn over, go through the remaining 2, chain 1, and then add a second one in that same place. 2, 3, chain 1. Okay, so for these 3 puff stitches, now we have 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Continue in that fashion around and I'll meet you there. Alright, so I have one more pair of puff stitches to make. And you always want to make it, you want to find that chain 2 and then you know that that's the final chain 1 space where you're going to put them. If you're wondering, you should have a total of 24 puff stitches in this round 3. Here you have 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And since we doubled the number of stitches in round 3, you should have a total of 24. So I'm going to make this final pair right quick. 2, 3, chain 1, go back in there for the second one. 1, 2, 3, and then don't forget to chain 1 before you slip stitch. Alright, so we're going to bypass that chain 2, slip stitch into the top of that puff stitch like that. Okay, and then we're going to come over here. So we go just on the other side of the puff stitch and slip stitch again. And chain 3 this time. 1, 2, 3. Alright, so we have a circle. It's beautiful. We have our puff stitches, but now it's time to kind of infuse that granny square element, except it's not going to be a square. It's going to be a hexagon, so we're going to have 6 sides. You remember when you make granny squares, the way that you create a corner is the 3 double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochet, right? So that's what we're going to start out with. Right now, this chain 3 counts as one of those first 3 double crochet. So we're going to go into this chain 1 space and add 2 double crochet. So now we have our 3 double crochet because the chain 3 counts as one of them. Now we're going to chain 2 because we want this to be a corner, and back in there we're going to add 3 more double crochet. So 1, back in there for 2, back in there for 3. You can already see that this creates a corner. Okay, so now this is what you're going to do. You're going to skip. So here you see that final double crochet. You're going to see a puff stitch just to the left. Skip that puff stitch. Don't even worry about the chain one spaces. We can just look at the puff stitches. So skip that puff stitch, skip the next puff stitch, and then in that chain one space just on the other side of that second puff stitch, that's where we're going to put our 3 double crochet. But before we do that, we have to chain 1. So chain 1, skip, skip, and in that chain one space we're going to put 3 double crochet. And this where I'm crocheting now is not a corner, it's just a side. So once we create our 3 double crochet, we chain 1. And you remember, on the sides you don't chain 2, you chain 1. And we're going to skip 2 more puff stitches. So I chained 1, skip, skip, and then in this chain 1 space I'm going to create another corner. So it's going to be 3 double crochet, I'm going to chain 2, 1, 2, and then back in there for 3 more double crochet to create a second corner. Okay, and now I've completed one side. Okay, continue. So I'm going to chain 1, skip puff, in that chain 1 space I'll create another 3 double crochet, and then chain 1, because it's not a corner, skip 2 puffs, and over here create another corner. Okay, so hopefully you can see the pattern. Basically you're just alternating between the corner and the side. So 2 and 3. So it's corner, side, corner, side, corner. Now it's time to create another side. So chain 1, skip 2 puffs, and in that next chain 1 space I'll put my 3 double crochet to create the side. Chain 1, skip 2 puffs, and in that next chain 1 space I create another corner. And this is how I create my hexagon. Chain 2, because I'm in the corner, and go back in there and put 3 double crochet. 1, 2, 3, and don't forget you guys can sew it down on YouTube if you need to. Chain 1, skip puff, and in that next chain 1 space I'm creating another side, so it's just 3 double crochet. Then I chain 1. Now it's time to create a corner. Skip puff, and in that next chain 1 space is where I'm going to put my corner. So it's 3 double crochet, and then because it's the corner I'm going to chain 2, 1, 2, and go back in there and create 3 more double crochet. So 1, back in there for 2, back in there for 3, chain 1, and now it's time to create another side. Skip 1 puff, skip the second puff, and then in that next chain 1 space put my 3 double crochet to create the side. 2, back in there for 3, chain 1. Alright, now it's time to create another corner, so skip puff, and in that chain 1 space I'm going to create another corner by making 3 double crochet, chaining 2, 1, 2, and going back in there and putting 3 more double crochet, 1, 2, back in there for 3. Okay, now I'm going to chain 1, and it's time to create another side, so skip puff, and then in the chain 1 space that's where I'm going to put my 3 double crochet, 1, back in there for 2, back in there for 3, and then I'm going to chain 1, and what would be is the next corner, but it's already created because it's where I started. So I'm just going to go and slip stitch into the top chain up, the 3rd chain up, so 1, 2, 3. So get your hook in there, slip stitch, yarn over, pull all the way through. Alright, chain 1, cut your yarn, and fasten off. And this, you guys, is how you make a puff stitch hexagon. Okay, really cool, right? Really beautiful. Let me zoom out just a little bit so you can see it. You have your 6 sides, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Got your puff stitches in there, and it was just a circle through 1, 2, 3, through round 3, but now we turned it into a hexagon by adding these corners. Alright guys, that's going to be it for this tutorial in this video, but I'll see you in the next one. In the meantime, happy crocheting. JK, JK, JK. Oh yeah, don't forget to weave in those tails. So, just get your darning weaving tapestry needle, feed it through, and then go through some nearby stitches. Go through the taller stitches, don't try to go through the chains, it won't fare well for you, and it'll show through. So pull through one direction, you might distort your work a little bit, just stretch it back out, and then take a slightly different path going in the opposite direction. And then make sure you get it to its correct form again. And then once you do that, you can cut your yarn down. Remember this magic circle in the beginning? Make sure you've pulled it as much as it'll go. And then you can weave in around that way, and then you can cut it. Okay? So yeah, just weave it through some stitches around the circle. Like that. You can do it 3 times if you want, or how many ever times you want. And then cut your yarn down. Alright, now we're done.